So tutorial 7 takes us into the third stage of the Success in 80 Days program. That stage is navigation. And first up, we're going to have a look at what we call a change log. And we think that by the time you've reached the navigation stage, when you're working through this properly and diligently, you will have actually improved the perception of your business quite significantly. Each stage of this journey should be having more and more an increasing impact on your business day to day. So you should be seeing and applying some of the lessons and the insights that you've generated into your day-to-day business. But really it's when we reach navigation where this actually shifts into a much higher gear than heretofore. So just to summarize where we've reached, we know where we are. Because we've orientated and we've got the reconnaissance under our belts. We know where we're headed. We know what resources we have and those that we're going to be needing. And also we have a significantly better picture of the challenges and the opportunities that we'll be facing. Now navigation is how we put this knowledge to work. So now we take the best route and monitor progress, and if necessary we highlight where more reconnaissance and updating of this sort of virtual success map that we're building will be required. So put it another way, by taking the sort of more complete understanding of what our business really is and then applying navigation tools and techniques, we really start working on our business more instead of simply working in that business and reacting and responding. And again we reiterate that unless you commit to stick with the sequence and the cycles of all stages, this new perception, this new understanding of what the real business is all about is unlikely to happen. Now, during the previous two stages, it's probable that you've identified some kind of urgent things that you really believe need to get instituted straight away. Probably some of them are pretty easy to initiate to make these immediate changes to your business. So before we get into the main navigation logs, it's a good opportunity to use the chain logs to sort of codify or detail these immediate quick fixes and to share them with your crew and get some action going. So the change log is pretty simple, and let's just take a quick look. And it's a change log really is only needed if you have identified those issues that urgently need immediate attention. And if you haven't identified them, or they're not urgent or they're not quick, then and you feel that there is no immediate changes, then this stage can be or this step of the change log you might want to skip. But assuming that most businesses, and that is the norm, have them, these quick changes, it's a precursor to the navigation log. It's fairly self-explanatory. And perhaps the best way of explaining it is to describe the example that I've done here. And this change log outlines an issue with a company that I've actually worked with in the past. It's a real business. And their business was struggling against the competition. New business was increasingly difficult to recruit. New sales, new clients were increasingly difficult to recruit. And the principal reason why this was was actually quickly spotted when we took them through the mapping stage and we viewed the company's vehicle, or the elements in the company's vehicle, from various vantage points in their territory, which was the obvious element really, given the problems that they were suffering from. Getting back to what came up with this particular business, and reassessed from the customer's point of view their product proposition It wasn't really clear. Their business model was hard for customers to price, and in other words, the customers were both unsure and apprehensive at the same time. And I don't think that's unusual for professional service companies who really believe that their product is an hour or a day of their particular specialist skill. The immediate answer, or the basis for the change, the quick change here, was to consider the most common and pressing customer needs that came up and quickly pull these together as packages, really, packages of services, specifically tailored to provide a solution. So in terms of the customer's eyes, we now had real products. So we productized the skill-based business model. And in the example, the changelog that we were running with is vehicle, and the elements requiring change were the product, the business model, our price points, and also the cash flow. Because there's probably secondary changes to other elements as a consequence, but these are the key ones. First of all, we need to sort of detail what the current direction of the business is before we institute this change, just to make certain that we're clear. And this is all revolving around their identification of the product as chargeable hours, which impacts, of course, their business model. Mapping product from the customer perspective also showed that there was confusion over the perceived value, and this was adversely impacting our cash flow. And that light bulb understanding and acknowledgement led us to the task, which was to define and urgently execute changes that revolved around that business model, and crucially the cash flow of the business. And really, the cash flow is a symptom of this fundamental flaw in their business model. But now we need to have our new strategies and processes validated, and they need to be adapted if necessary against the results they're targeting. As these are the more quick and urgent fixed changes, it's important to have them implemented and showing results in a short time frame. So this is not just an academic exercise. We want these changes out there, giving us results against what we believe is fair targets, and coming back and checking that whether we need to adapt or change those processes, the quick fixes that we've put forward.